Welcome back to another episode of Drilling It Down. This is your host, Wes Lyon, President and CEO of McGill & Lyon Dental Advisors. With me, I have Mario Santiago, Tax and Business Planning Advisor and Partner here at the firm. Mario, thanks for joining me today.
Excited to be here and test out the new studio, Wes.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, this one is public-facing, so for those of you who are members, we are going to stop these public-facing here in a little while, but we did just switch systems. Hopefully you've been to the new website. A lot easier to navigate. We're super happy with it. We're going to continue to make improvements there. But if you are a member and you're on the public facing, make sure you search your email address for Transistor. And this is the system that now pushes the podcast directly to your phone. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts like I am, you get the email. It says, hey, you're now, subscribed to this private show. And you just click on the link of your podcast provider of choice. I did Apple Podcast, and boom, it shows up. When we publish, it goes straight to your phone, gives you an alert. Super easy, but this is public facing, so we get a little bit of time in between until we get everyone here on the new system.
I get the alerts too, Wes, but I ignore them because I don't want to listen to myself.
Oh, come on, it's the best part. For those of you that aren't subscribers, we'll come back to you on a little bit, but today we are unpacking what is in the August edition of the McGill & Lyon Dental Advisory. And Mario, we got our first article here written by yours truly, me. So we want to talk about dropping PPOs. Mario, just real quick, what do you see going on with PPOs? Getting better, worse?
I think definitely worse. I mean, everybody that comes in, I see a pattern of, hey, we're not making as much money as we used to, but we're working harder, and people look to other solutions. I mean, we've been talking about several client situations where somebody's trying to open up a new space or hiring more doctors or opening up extra days, and they're not looking sometimes at the glaring problem.
Yeah, and costs are rising much faster than reimbursements, and reimbursements were a problem 10 years ago. They haven't gotten much higher over the last 10 years. Staff costs are going up, but there's a lot of doctors out there really, really scared to drop PPOs.
Yeah.
So we cover PPOs all the time, but this time I wanted to cover the surefire way to make this go well.
Yeah.
And this is a unique combination of things to do, but if you can pull it off, it's phenomenal. Buy patient records at the same time or right after you drop a PPO. And what I mean by patient records, this is by far the easiest, most cost-effective way to grow your practice. I mean, every single client that's done it after we told them to, just phenomenal results, super happy, wish I would have done this 10 years ago. We had a client from Missouri here, and he had just retired, and he was telling us his story about how he built his practice, and he literally just every 5 years.
Just gobbled up.
Yeah, he just became the well-known dentist of, hey, if you're looking to retire and you've got a smaller practice, I'd love to have your patients.
And that's the interesting thing, right? It's not some strict process. You just have to go out there and shake hands and go to the dental society, figure out. Every time we go speak somewhere, you see the person who's a little too old to be there.
So, yeah, we'll talk about how to do this in a second. Let's real quick what we're talking about with this merger and why we're saying patient records. You're not looking to buy a practice doing $1.5 million. That's a practice that's going to sell on the market. You're looking really for a practice that, $400,000 to $500,000 range or lower. There's nothing wrong with it being $100,000. Nothing wrong with $50,000. I mean, patients are patients. It's about getting them cost effectively. But eventually, a practice is big enough that it's got enough income, it's got enough cash flow that a young doctor is going to buy it, pay a bank loan, pay their own mortgage. But if you've got a practice doing $500,000. You take out the overhead, what you're paying yourself to survive, and then a bank loan. It just ain't going to work. And most of the doctors with the practice this size are well aware. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. These practices typically aren't 40-year-olds, right? And they typically aren't male or females either. I think females have more emotional intelligence than us males, and they don't they don't tend to put their life into their work the same way that some males do. Not to say they don't enjoy it, or males tend to sometimes not know what they're going to do next and hang around for too long. And what happens when they hang around is they're really there because they enjoy their patients, they enjoy what they do, and they don't know where they'd go when they woke up in the morning. And we tell that to everyone retiring. What are you going to do tomorrow? And if you can't tell me what you're going to do, this is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Some of these males end up in there well into their 70s. And this is the practice you're looking for. He hasn't been trying to grow this practice. That's not his goal. He wants to wake up in the morning, wants to come in. He's making a little bit of money. He's happy. That's the thing. But eventually he comes to the point where he goes, hey, all right, for whatever reason, I'm going to have to get out. You know, I might be aging out of it. My eyesight might be going bad. Maybe I finally realized I need to move on. Or oftentimes my lease is coming up for renewal. I'm 76 years old and they want a 10-year renewal. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you know, at 66, you were like, I'll do it for 10 more years. At 76, you're like, okay.
Yeah. And I bet a lot of these people are looking for like the longevity of their patients, like who's going to take care of them next.
That's why it's always so intriguing.
Yeah.
This, for the doctor selling, is almost never about the money.
Yeah.
We've never had a real tense negotiation over it. The doctor wants to get something fair. They know it's not really sellable on the open market. And they realize that, hey, you're not going to come into the practice, so the patients are going to have to go to you. So what's really going to happen is you're going to buy the patient records for a very nominal amount of money. And then you're going to negotiate out, hey, I'm going to pay you X amount for every patient that actually shows up in my practice. And it's very common. It's the cost of a prophy. And we had a client, exact numbers are sitting in the newsletter, but he was actually bringing on an associate. He had gone fee for service, wasn't as busy as he needed to be for the associate, wanted the associate to come in, take a little more time off. So he asked what to do. I told him, well, go find a senior doctor, buy their patient records. So he did. And he spent just under $11,000, and I think it was about 180-ish of collections over 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, hey, if a marketing company told you for $11,000, I'll get you 180 grand of revenue in the next 18 months,
yeah,
you'd sign up on the spot, right?
And it doesn't have to be this like life-changing number, right? Like that enough was probably enough to pay for the associate and move on.
Exactly. And that's where you think if you can combine this with trying to drop a PPO, if you're like, hey, I'm doing, you know, I'm producing 1.7 million, but I'm only collecting $1 million, but I'm worried what happens if these patients run out the door. Some of them will run out the door. A lot of them that run out the door will come back. If you do it right, much less of them are going to leave than you think. Now, that's if you do it right. Don't just show up one day, drop Delta, and expect everyone to show up. Like,
yeah.
You don't have to do it right, but hey, if I can get this for, hey, I'm buying $200,000 of collections, I'm going to bring it in. In this practice in particular, it was only 100 patients for that 180 grand.
Wow.
But that's the other funny thing when you buy a retiring doctor out. Is usually, you know, hey, they've been watching things maybe a little longer than you should be watching things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of work to be done. And a lot of these doctors, too, they're not bad doctors. It's not like they haven't seen it. You know, the patient comes in like, oh, yeah, you know, Dr. So-and-so, we've been watching that. He told me I probably need a crown. Right? The patients already know. So it just becomes, even we see it. Generally, it goes for about the cost of a prophy all the way up to about 40% of collections to get a hold of one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 40% of collections, every doctor I've seen that's done it has made their money back and then some within 12 months.
Yeah. We had one a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember, Wes, where same thing. This doctor just needed a little bit more production. Literally, the doctor next door was retiring and had a small practice and wanted their patients taken care of. But to your point, when they absorbed those patients, they needed a lot of work. So, which was obviously good for the practice, but they needed to be taken care of as well.
No, but that's where these doctors, they're really looking for a doctor that's going to take care of their patients, not the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Right. So they want to be comfortable with you. And you kind of brought it up when we're talking, you know, when we go talk at the study clubs, we see them there. People are like, where do I find them? I'm like, the local dental society. That is number one place to go is the local dental society. Go to your referral sources. You know, hey, you're referring to the oral surgeon. Go to the oral surgeon, ask them, you know, hey, do you know anyone that might fit this criteria? They're going to know as well, and they probably know this doctor well. You know, hey, I've been working with him for 15 years. I think it'd be a great fit. Let me make an introduction. Like, you've got to do legwork. That's where people are always like, oh, well, can you find it for me? I'm like, no, I can't, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go do the work to find this person. But stay involved in the local dental society, because these will pop up, and like you want to be friends with these guys, so when it does, they know you, they trust you, and it just becomes a no-brainer where, maybe someone approaches them, they go, oh, well, I've been talking to so and so for a while, and I think it's going to go there. Because there are practices that shut down and they send letters to find a new dentist and tell us where to send the records.
Yeah.
And every time that happens, someone goes, oh, I'm getting new patients from this guy, he had to shut down. He sent a letter, told them all to find a new dentist. I'm like, dude, call him. Tell him you'll pay him 10 grand for the records and send a second letter and tell him to come to you. Like, that's the best thing you can do. But no, it really is. It's a phenomenal way. Even if you are already fee-for-service, it's a phenomenal way to grow. But also, hey, if I'm going to go do a big Delta drop, or I'm going to get rid of a couple insurances, this is a great way to backfill those patients and ensure you're going to have success. So if you do this, make sure, though, that you go out of network. You try to time them together, but go out of network right before, so these patients don't come in, you're in network, and then you're out of network the next visit.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal way to try to kind of button up and make sure this is going to work well.
Yeah, and I think it'll tie into one of the articles we'll talk about later of the second trend, which is I think patients are starting to notice the level of care that they're receiving at different offices, whether corporate owned or individually owned. So it is a good opportunity to make more money, obviously, but provide better service that people are actually looking for.
No, definitely. If I could design kind of for a young dentist what the key to success is, or how to be most successful, first is, if you're not from the city, don't marry the girl from the city or the man from the city, because you won't take the city person into the country. You can take the country into the city, but that ain't a two-way road.
Yeah.
Then go into one of these smaller areas where there's a lot of, rural, especially in the Southeast, but in general, rural America has a real access to care problem in the country, right? So if you can go there and there's all these dentists hanging around that are 60, 65, 58, it's like, well, I'm just sitting here waiting for them to call me.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to call me. And that's what this doctor's talking about. He's in Missouri, in a smaller town. It's a pretty big town, but a smaller town. And it's like, well, hey, I got this practice. And, here in Charlotte, the practice doing $600,000 a year is bankruptcy material.
Yeah.
But, you're in Missouri and you're making a really good living off of that. You're enjoying it. It's a great practice for you. But, again, there's not really room for a bank loan when somebody comes to buy it. So these doctors are in a little bit of a bind, and they know it, and they just want their patients taken care of.
Yeah, that's right.
So no, well, I think, Mario, let's see what we got up next here. Is this this is your article?
That's right.
Did you tell your wife that you're a published author?
I have, because you told me to tell her a couple times, so I keep repeating myself.
I always loved to pull that one on my wife. I'm a published author.
New York Times bestseller.
That's right. McGill and Lyon bestseller.
No, I got this from this one from a client. He it's really about using a buying group, and I think we're doing some research for maybe the GP space, but this is ortho specific. But talking about corporate, and these corporate groups or big DSOs can get better pricing on supplies, aligners, servicing fees for machines
by a mile.
Yeah, and it's tough to compete as the small guy.
For those of you that aren't aware, we hear it whenever, it's not uncommon that an employee gets upset when a corporate group buys, and then that person was in charge of ordering or doing whatever it is and comes into the private practice and just has sticker shock and tells the private doctor, I was getting this for $2 and you're paying $9. Right? Like the price differences are staggering here.
Yeah.
So we got to do everything we can to try to get the lowest price.
Yeah, and some of these, we won't name the companies, but some of the aligner companies have these tiers to really like hook you into doing more business with them. So you feel good about being in this specific tier, but you're just paying. I mean, they're just convincing you that it's a good deal, but they're just trying to hook you into their system so you never leave. Because what I hear from a lot of orthodontists is, well, I'm already in this tier, so I'm never going to leave this aligner company to find a better alternative. But what this client was telling me is, hey, he can never get past the first or second tier of the aligners, but he was able to join this buying group for a pretty decent cost, and they pushed him up to the highest tier immediately to be able to get some supplies and some aligner costs down. He was able to get bracket costs down, servicing of the equipment down. So what we talk about in the article is, okay, don't sign up for everything under the sun. You want to make sure that the subscription fee is actually worth it, because if you're paying the subscription fee and then you net out the savings and you're at the same spot, then you didn't really get anywhere. But if the subscription fee is actually getting you some great savings and allowing you to compete with the corporate dentist, then it can be a great idea to join one of these buyer groups that, you know, they get together and they get similar pricing.
No, definitely. I know this one was for ortho, but I am going to have something coming for all of the other specialties. So, Mario, I don't think you work on this client with me, but one of our clients, she's actually an orthodontist, but her husband is a tech guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he codes, and he was helping her. So he, you know, all of a sudden he started coding in, you know, hey, where can we get supplies from? Where can we get this? And it's really just a software overlay. It goes into your inbox. It figures out everything that you're buying, and then it creates a dashboard and shows you where the cheapest place to buy that item is. And I think if you click it, it'll kind of link you to that website, put it in the cart for you.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty, you know, it's going to be a pretty reasonable cost thing out there. But, you know, it was really cool. You know, you can get, I think he's going to charge a little bit of money, and you can plug in, tell you what you're ordering, show you the savings that you'll get using it. It's a very reasonable cost item too. So that's without even joining a buying group. But definitely something we need to be aware of is, hey, we need to get these deals.
And that's cool, because I bet you can see everything now with all this technology. You can actually see it on like a dashboard or something. Whereas it's like any subscription, like you start paying for something and you forget it even exists, and next thing you know, 5 years down the road, you've been overpaying for supplies or something.
Well, fortunately, we don't have a lot of supplies here. It's like, I can't even tell you what we order. You know, it's like you got a lot of things to do. It's like, okay, what are we doing? But, you know, 2 to 3% of collections every year in a dental practice could be $50,000.
Yeah.
And like it's a lot of money.
Hey, the AC sometimes is really cold here, Wes. So if you want to cut some overhead costs,
Hey,
that's
you
my
know,
recommendation.
I'm renting.
Okay.
You gotta keep everybody nice and awake.
Yeah, you said it the other day. Nothing makes people angrier than just being hot.
No, that was it. Well, cool. Next one, we've got smarter strategies to fund dental school under the new federal borrowing limits. So this is going to be probably a little less of a hot topic than maybe people anticipated. With, you know, there's a $50,000 cap on professional school per year. So I think that's mainly going to be medical, dental, law, I believe. Might be other things in there, but I don't really care. Dental is in there.
That's what we care about.
Yeah, dental is in there. There's also going to be a $257,000 and some change, I think, borrowing cap. $257,500 total federal student loan borrowing cap.
And $200,000 just for the professional degrees.
$200,000 just for professional. But this gets into, what if I have to pay for undergrad, then I have to go to dental school? You know, this is going to get expensive. Now, just so everyone knows, the private lenders are stepping in, which we expected. Dentists, physicians, they're going to pay their loans back. Nobody's really that worried about it. Now, what I didn't anticipate, what really makes me angry is, you go onto the website and, you know, advertised rates, 3% to 14%. So I had a client, mom and dad are both dentists, phenomenal balance sheet, pretty close to retirement. A lot of it sticking around just, you know, so the kids can come back. And the percentage rate with mom and dad as a cosigner was over 10. And I was like, well, and they were asking me, well, what's wrong with our credit? I'm like, nothing. This is a lie. This 3% is a lie. It's a way to get you through the door. You know, 11%, that's a lot of interest.
Oh, my gosh. What's the federal rate at? Like 7 to 8? I want to say it's about 7. Or maybe 7, high 7s.
It's 7 to 9, depending on, you know, they changed the loans. I don't know if you had to take any of these, but I did. The loans per semester, the rate changes. So when you get them, you know, it's like, oh, this one was at 7, this one was at 8, whatever. Mine were 6.5 back in the day, and interest rates weren't as high as they are now. But you know, there was a period of time where they were like 3, but yeah, they're 7 to 9, which is, you know, still not great, but it's better. But you know, you're starting to climb up there, especially if you don't have credit. You could end up at 14, right? Oof. So,
and of course, there's this gap, right? If the average dental school cost is $300,000, and take a slight tangent here, but it's such an average number. It's like you go to some places and people who really did it right and went to the state schools and didn't really spend a lot of money, and they might be under that. And then you go, I spoke at this to some residents once, and they had well over 500,000 to $1 million in student loans because they chose the most expensive dental school, the most expensive residency program. And then I started asking questions. I was like, how come they're doing this? And then they want to go work in New York City as an associate to pay it back. And I finally talked to the guy who hosts me, and he's like, money's not a problem for them. They're not paying for these. It's like, oh, I understand now.
Yes. But no, let's hit this from two angles, though. The first is there's going to be young doctors out there that don't have the support, right? So we were joking about it the other day. There was only one undergraduate program I applied to that did not give me a full ride. I went to said school. It was in-state. But I did go to this one school that did not give me a full ride. Now, I knew I wasn't going to graduate school. That was right off the bat. My last years of education were going to be at Virginia Tech. So that was perfectly fine. Went to Virginia Tech. It was in-state, not that expensive. I had some student loans, but I managed to squeeze out of there pretty good. But if I was trying to go to dental school, I would definitely be thinking early and applying undergrad and seeing, where you might be able to get a full ride, especially based off high school grades. I mean, I think I had 7 or 8 full scholarship offers out of high school. It's like, look, 2 or 3 of them were actually, like, Georgia Tech was one of them. UGA was one of them. Like, those are phenomenal schools. There were a couple others. I won't name them in case anyone went there. There were a couple others, though, that were clearly a class below Virginia Tech. But if I was trying to go to dental school, go get a 4.0 there and do really, really good on your DAT and, try to get into the in-state dental school and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter all that much that, you went here versus here. What's going to matter is what'd you do there? Did you study? And how'd you do on this DAT? Did you get involved? Work on getting into dental school before you're, if you're doing the interview and oh, why'd you go here? Oh, well, they gave me a full scholarship and I need to pay for dental school.
Yeah, fair.
I'll be like, wow, that's, you're smart.
Yeah, and we're not here to say that one dental program is better than the other, but from our side, it's just funny how the person working, like you said, in a rural area who went to just an in-state school, they're making just as much money or more than the person who went to some, pedigree, highly ranked program who's working in the city. The cost of living is lower in the rural areas, and surprisingly, the revenue and profit of a practice is actually not very different from one in the city.
Now, your expenses are lower and your PPO exposure is much lower.
Yeah.
So on average, a busy practice in the country is collecting more than a busy practice in the city. Their overhead is lower. I mean, they're making a lot more money.
I had a client from Minnesota who just bought a practice, bought the real estate, and then we were reviewing whether we could buy their first house. And when they told me how much the first house was going to be, I was like, oh my gosh, just go ahead and do it. But that's not the conversation we're having with people in, big cities in California or New York or Boston or
even
things
Charlotte.
Like that. Yeah, Charlotte. Yeah.
I mean, it's not. But yeah, that's I'd be very careful on the undergraduate. Now, if you're listening to this, though, you're probably past that. But for those of you who are helping someone, you want to help them understand that this can get really expensive. And where it gets really, really expensive is, one, where are you in the country? I was looking up dental school costs for writing this article. The Southeast in-state is not bad at all. I mean, you can get out under the federal borrowing limits, no problem. I mean, it's very doable. But 2 things can happen. One, you might not be in a state that has a great in-state program. And when I say great, I mean, it might just be expensive. Not every dental school is priced like the Southeast is. So you might be, my in-state program's $80,000 a year. It's like, well, you don't really have any levers to pull there.
Yeah.
Right? You can try to become an in-state resident somewhere else. It typically doesn't go well. Seen a lot of people try. It has worked for a few, but a lot of the states, especially with the lower cost schools, really protect that. Like South Carolina in particular, I had looked into this when I was going to college because a couple of the schools were in South Carolina. I was like, well, what happens if I lose it? I'm going to be on the hook for $80,000 a year. And I didn't really have a home. My parents had already moved to Georgia, so I was like, well, I can just go claim my aunt's place. Like, what's it going to take? And boy, becoming an in-state resident of South Carolina is darn near impossible if you're not actually a resident and your parents aren't a resident.
Yeah.
I had a buddy try in Virginia. He took a year off and became a roofer. And very straightforward. Did roofs for a year. Took off of college, tried to get in-state. Virginia denied him.
Didn't get it. Wow.
Didn't get it. So, I mean, you don't want to bank on that. That's why, hey, if you do smart decisions for undergrad, if you end up in a bind for dental school, it's not the end of the world. We got through undergrad okay, right? But if we're sitting there and we paid $80, $90 a year for undergrad and we took loans for it, this is going to start to hurt.
Yeah. And this may apply to the people listening here because, right, if you're helping your kids, now you're on the hook for $80 a year plus dental school. I mean, now we're talking about, hey, are you reaching your financial goals because of this?
Exactly. So try that. Then when you do get there, hey, start building credit as well, or start helping kids build credit. Get a credit card in their name. I think Experian Boost will help pull things into your credit when it typically be there. Mm-hmm. Even put a car loan in your kid's name. We got an article linked in there off the website on it. So, get anything you can, build a credit score so they can get a decent student loan rate, because federal student loans, everybody's going to get the same rate, but private student loans, credit history is going to matter. Yeah. And then if you can co-sign it as well, that's going to help a lot too. But that's kind of the ugly reality of, like, hey, especially if, there's only so many number of spots in the in-state dental school, like, do well, get in. That is my best advice is, hey, do well, get in, make it happen. But let's kind of flip over parent side. Let's say we're trying to help our kids now. All right. So we got the child. Whatever they did for undergrad's probably done. Help them make that best decision for undergrad. Especially you go to a smaller school where there's not as many distractions. Yeah. That might help get into dental school. Not being at a school that's well known for drinking beer 5 times a week, like maybe one that's, a little off the map here. Not as much trouble, a little easier to get a 4.0 in. But then if they're going to dental school, and we run into this a lot, where they didn't get into the in-state school, so now they're in a program, it's $90 a year, $110 a year, what are we going to do? Some of the Northeast schools are just that expensive, period. Yeah. So now we got to help them. Well, make them take the $50 a year, right? Let them have skin in the game on it. You can also pay them up to $38,000 a year tax-free by using the lifetime learning credit. So have them work for your practice in exchange for wages. If you have an HSA plan, you can actually pay them up to like $45,000 a year. And you're kind of almost getting to the point where you've got it covered at this point. So I would student loans plus a combination of salary. Some people might say, hey, I want to pay. You can always pay off their student loans later, but don't enable them to skirt through life if they're going to become a dentist. You really need them to become a practice owner. Otherwise, I always kind of half joking with dentists, but I'm not half joking. I'm like, hey, you can graduate with an undergraduate accounting degree and see your way up to a couple $100,000 a year pretty easily. Mm-hmm. You went to dental school, bud. Like, you didn't go to dental school to make accountant money. Yeah. You're going to need to go and own a practice and really get that high income.
Yeah, and having that loan is going to kind of light up a fire under you to go out and pay it off.
Exactly. And then if we need to funnel any more money on top of that, we can either give them a private loan, or what we'll do with a lot of people is we'll make the kid take the loan, even if part of it's from mom and dad. You're going to fund it, you're going to make them pay you back, and then we'll funnel them enough salary to cover their living expenses. Mm-hmm. But you always want them to have as much skin in the game as possible, because, look, it's reality here. What probably made you have that position to be successful, it's probably because you didn't have it all handed to you. Yeah. So a lot of people think, oh, well, I had to do all this, and I want to make sure my kids don't. And it's like, well, are you sure about that? Yeah. There might have been something there that really went well, and maybe it was you having to work for it.
It's a tough balance. We had this seminar attendee once, and she seemed like she had an interesting relationship with her dad, but the dad basically, they had 4 siblings. The dad didn't pay for anything. Like, he was clearly well off and wealthy, but he was like, I'm not paying for anything. I think it was too much on the extreme where they resent the dad a little bit. but the 4 kids are successful doctors and they're making a ton of money. So she actually even though the relationship's interesting, she credits her dad for she says the only reason they're all where they need to be is because they had this pressure to succeed and actually pay off, all their loans that they took out.
No, that's it. So you've got to draw this baseline. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, they go buy a practice, they're doing really well, and you've got the money. You can always go pay off the loans for them. Like, nothing's stopping you in the future from taking care of it, but light the fire underneath of them.
Yep.
But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to see it play out. The hope is that dental schools will get more in line with costs. However, we think educational costs are going down or up. You think these school administrators are going to admit they're overpaid?
Oh my gosh. I'm scared to see what it's going to look like 20 years from now.
Had a periodontist, who I'm talking about, that teaches part-time, call me about it. You work with him too. And he was asking me about this and what they're going to do. And, hey, how am I going to get this cost down? I was like, well, you're diving in all the wrong areas. It's in the administration is the problem. That's where all the cost is. Yeah. And he just laughs and goes, so I'm not the only dentist basically working for free to teach them? I'm like, no, you're all making next to nothing teaching at the dental school. It's not you guys that are sucking all the money out. It's dang administration and how many people are walking around there. I mean, it's just crazy when you look at, the makeup of college campuses. It's like, well, there's the same number of teachers per student, maybe even less, but they got all department for everything and micromanagement. So probably not going to win that battle, but that was the intention. But I think in some degrees it'll have a little bit more of an impact. I think in dentistry there won't be a problem. People getting private student loans, it'll just make people think twice about what decision they're making.
Yeah.
Well, Mario, what do we got coming up next here?
States cracking down on private equity DSOs.
Ooh, private equity, my favorite topic.
So
private equity's got a lot of things going on right now.
Were they cracking down? California, Vermont?
I know people are, I don't know how much I can share. I know multiple states where dentists are working on it. The board's working on it.
Yeah.
California just settled with Aspen, but I kind of looked at it and was like, that was a cost of doing business for Aspen. They ain't even mad. You need to up that fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they're cracking down, and what they're really cracking down on is who really manages the practice.
Yeah, because they skirt around all sorts of rules, right? Because technically a dentist is supposed to own a dental practice.
Yeah, and generally speaking, in these DSO arrangements, there's what they call the friendly doctor. And the friendly doctor owns the clinical organization, but everything else is owned by the management organization. And technically the doctor is supposed to manage, but yeah. We don't know specifically, but I've heard rumors. We'll call them rumors. Or I've really heard directly from dentists that have worked there that, there's production quotas, you need to do this, and have been sat down. It's not every group out there that does this, but there are groups that do it. And I mean, that's what Aspen got in trouble for was, quotas and incentivizing compensation through treating more, which is kind of against, you can't do that in medicine or dentistry.
Yeah,
right?
we talked about that in an episode a while ago, right? It's like the morning huddles are so production driven that these associates are just probably stressed out of their mind because they got to go make a living and recommend things that they probably wouldn't recommend otherwise.
Yeah, and some of them, I won't name them, but some of them, it's suspect if a doctor's even doing the treatment plan.
Yeah.
The doctor goes in there, does the exam, and then the treatment plan doesn't get delivered. They don't tell them, it goes back to somebody else, and then when they get in the chair to do restorative, it's not the patient they originally saw. So they numb someone up, and then they realize, I probably shouldn't be doing a crown here, but what do you do? Gosh. You've already numbed them up.
Yeah.
They accepted the treatment, they paid. Like, hey, I think we screwed you over. Like, not really going to happen.
And back to that fee-for-service experience we were talking about, I think at the seminar we just did in Napa, one of the attendees dropped one of the insurance companies, and I think the patients went and tried out the corporate groups and realized what was going on, and they came running back.
It was funny. When it first popped up, one of our longtime clients called us freaking out. And John and I are just kind of laughing. We're like, hey, this ain't a problem. He's like, what? And we're like, buckle up. There's going to be a rough 6 months coming. But, I mean, they put an office right next door to him. But then after that, you're going to cut all marketing expenses and you're just going to put a sign outside that says second opinions free here. And you're going to be in perfect shape. And boy, he was nervous, train wreck. And about a year later, he calls and was like, yeah, it's just like you guys said.
Yeah, they came back.
They're all running back here, giving second opinions left and right.
Gosh.
But yeah, the states are cracking down, and again, not every corporate group does this. Not every DSO does this. A lot of them are doctor run. They understand that, hey, this is the part of private equity that drives me up a wall, is they go into a business, they just look at the numbers, and they never try to figure out, well, why do the numbers look so good? And, it's like, well, the numbers look so good because of this doctor's reputation for treating people a certain way. Like, so whatever you do, don't mess with the thing that creates the revenue.
Yeah.
And then they go in, oh, well, we could, we looked at this practice and it does this many crowns and this one does less. So we could get more crowns out of this one. It's like, well, there go all your new patients.
Yeah, they don't truly understand the industry. It's just a numbers thing. And
no, they do this in every industry, though. I mean, they drive me up a wall in the things they do. But every industry, it's just, oh, we could do this or we could do this. And it's like, well, or you could just build a really good business. But as you can tell, my opinion of these private equity people is not very high. They think they're geniuses, and they've convinced people to give them money to do things, but it never really works out the way they claim it's going to.
Yeah.
They always make money, though. That's the one thing.
That's what they're there for.
The private equity people always make money. I got a good laugh. One of them was talking to me about what's going on in dentistry, and I was telling him, like, it's just a terrible idea to be here. And he comes up with this other idea, and I'm like, that's just stupid. That's never going to work. I think instead of running like a DSO, they're like, well, what if we put them all in a partnership and we run these buy-ins and buy-outs? Well, why wouldn't we just one doctor just sell to another just like they do now? And he goes, no, I think this could work. And I'm like, what are you getting at? He's like, there's got to be a way to make money off this. And I'm like, all right, we got to the truth here. All you're looking at is how can I extract money from this situation and put it in my pocket?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The incentive's not the right one.
No, it's not. So the states are cracking down. They'll probably continue to crack down. I don't know how much faith I have. And, if somebody's looking for a day when all the DSOs are no longer allowed to operate a practice, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
But they are going to crack down, and hopefully, some good comes out of it, but we'll see. Now, moving on to my next favorite topic, we got, where private equity is really inundated in?
Where?
Financial advisory. Big time. Whatever y'all think is going on in dentistry, that playbook has been run over in financial advisory. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what's in this article. There's a couple other things going on that dentists probably need to know. And, they've been basically private equity's been rolling up all the private financial advisors for the last 15-ish years.
So they do the same thing, right? Buy up financial advisory
I
firms,
used to
try
be
to
one of
change
the-
things.
I used to be one of the people doing it.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you, Wes.
Now, to be fair, though, we were actually rolling up insurance-based practices, turning them into. We had a pretty unique model. We were buying half of it, and we were letting the owner keep half, and then we were actually coming in installing good systems. And
so you were getting rid of the insurance component.
Yeah, like if they were selling
then I think
whole
you're
life
doing
or
a lot of
something,
good.
and we were trying to convert it into AUM business and show them how to be advisors. And it was actually a really, really good platform until it sold to Goldman Sachs. But this has been going on in roughly, not number of financial advisors, but the percentage of assets of wealth in America that are held at a big institution, such as a bank or one of these roll-up firms, is about 90%. So most people are with either a big bank or one of these roll-up, private equity-backed independent financial advisory firms. But when you're private equity-backed, you're no longer independent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially, they're trying to push investments out there, and they're pushing it, we can get them into the clients. And I haven't really been able to trace this because I haven't seen enough public disclosure, and I don't think it's something that's necessarily been looked into, although the SEC is looking into it. private equity firms 100% go buy insurance companies because insurance companies take the money, they invest it, right? So if they can buy an insurance company for cheap, but then they can make the insurance company control it, invest in the stuff they sell, they're going to make much more off the AUM fees. Same thing can happen within a private equity firm buys a wealth management arm, though. Right now, all of a sudden, hey, we're going to invest 5-10% of client assets in our private equity funds. And if you do that, you might be able to double the revenue because the private equity firm is charging triple what the financial advisory firm is.
Yeah.
So you might be able to double the dang revenue of the whole thing if you do it. So I haven't actually seen specifically why this happens, but the thing that really makes me angry, that just this one drives me up a wall, is you got all these people that they came out and they were, hey, we're breaking away from these banks. We're going to be independent financial advisors. We're actually going to look out for their clients. And they kept things very simple. They did things the right way, right? They built great businesses for keeping things simple, delivering client returns over decades, phenomenal businesses. Then they wanted to liquidate, and the private equity came in, gave them a lot of money. So now they're in these big groups. And now these big groups, they all sing the same story. Oh, well, now we have access to funds that we didn't have access to when we were independent. I'm like, no, we all broke away from the banks because we didn't want any of the stuff they're selling. So now we went independent and we bought low-cost, well-diversified investments, and we did very well by our clients, but now you've all gone back. And you're in now I group them into the same group that I put the banks.
Well, you've always mentioned this, Wes, right? It's like an exclusivity thing where it's like if a client's looking for that, Hail Mary to get them these great investment returns, these companies feel like they need to have access to those investments to at least offer them, even though deep down they might not be the best investments.
A lot of them aren't just offering them. That was what we did.
They're pushing
So
it.
when I was doing this, we were at a big, I was a partner, or I was not a partner, I was in the partner meeting for the investment committee. And there were like 15 partners who go up to New York City. And my prior career, I did much more complex math, and I was the math guy. So the partner I worked for thought it was funny that, so-and-so is coming up there to give a 2-hour pitch, and I got my math whiz in the back with me, and he's just, he just let me ask away, and I just raise my hand, and I just start poking into these people. So I finally sat down with our CIO at lunch at one of them. I'm like, Rob, what are we doing with all this stuff? Would you ever actually put a client in this? And he just looks at me and goes, absolutely not. But we're losing clients because, JP Morgan is saying they have access to this and we don't. So we're selling that we have access to it. But when you get that client in the door, you continue to do what you do.
Yeah.
But now you've got a lot of these firms where these financial advisors, there's no barrier to entry. You didn't go to dental school. I mean, I know there's a test to take. I've taken it. Anyone that tells you the tests to become a financial advisor are difficult, run from them. They took me a couple weeks at night to figure that part out. Just run. But yeah, they've got it, and now they've got this access, and they're being wowed, and it's really just not good.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple things, we'll kind of go through a couple strategies to boost returns and a couple things to stay away from. One of the things is you get on these big platforms, and a lot of the times they, the trading capabilities, whatever they're doing, they're kind of putting everybody into models, and they start to lose the tax efficiency portion of it. So, for example, we don't really like to hold bonds in a taxable brokerage account. We don't do it because in a taxable brokerage account, it's 20% capital gains, and we hold ETFs, and we trigger the gains, right? Well-managed ETFs don't distribute capital gains.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, there's a mechanism on there, and that mechanism is really an exchange, so we don't have to pay tax anytime we sell a stock. So we put low-cost, well-diversified ETFs there that are stock funds. We rebalance it with deposits. We're trying everything we can to not pay tax there. If you have bonds paying 4.5%, and if you're in California, you're only going to keep 2 of that. You're going to pay the net investment income tax. You're going to pay the state income tax. You're going to pay federal ordinary income tax. So it just makes no sense to have there. And then you go the same way in the Roth IRAs where it's like, hey, what should these be? And it's like, well, we're probably going to leave them to our kids, so they should be 100% stock, right? So that's the first thing causing people tax pain. The second thing we see is people think, oh, we're going to be in a 60-40 allocation, and they do a risk, questionnaire that's relatively meaningless in my opinion, instead of getting to know the client and really being the professional. And when we look at how much bond exposure you need, you really need 7 to 10 years of your cash needs in bonds. And we do that because, hey, there's a greater than 95% chance over a decade, if you're low cost, well diversified, your stocks will have gained money. But '08 will happen at some point. '01 will happen at some point. We're going to have a market crash. So when it happens, we need somewhere to go to withdraw cash in order to maintain your lifestyle in retirement.
Yeah,
So
and
we
not
need
sell
these.
your stocks.
Exactly, not sell the stocks. But your portfolio was $4 million, now it's $8 million, but you really, that math says you only need $2 million of bonds. You're not in a 50-50 portfolio anymore. We need $2 million of bonds.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of return left on the table because people are in generic portfolios, and sometimes the advisors are scared. Well, the client, they're not going to know what to do if the market goes down. It's like, well, our job as the advisor is to educate you. And it's to educate you on what the right thing is to do, explain why. And hey, at the end of the day, if the client comes back and says, I hear you, I still want to be 50-50, so be it. We're going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
But it's my goal to educate them to maximize this wealth as much as possible. And too often it's set it and forget it, because what do you think the private equity firms are concentrated on? Doing really, really good work for their clients, or getting new clients? No, we don't think they want to profit, do they? But yeah, so those are two things that go on constantly we see. But then the other things we're seeing, we'll probably have these. I've put them in some previous articles, so we'll probably get them sprinkled around. We ran out of room, almost put this. One of the Treasury people, I forget the name, but high up at the Treasury Department, which runs the IRS, came out about these tax loss harvesting hedge fund strategies and said, hey, we're looking into them. There needs to be economic substance behind the trades you made. If the purpose of it, sole purpose, was financial engineering for tax savings, then, hey, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Now, the thing people don't realize, this tax loss harvesting stuff, so there's a couple. There's direct indexing. We've written about that before, where, hey, instead of buying the S&P 500 index, I'm just going to directly own the 500 stocks, and then when the losers go down and we sell them and buy them back. The problem is 3 or 4 years down the line, you run out of losses. As the market goes up, you're out of losses, and now you've got a portfolio that should be rebalanced that's not being rebalanced properly, because you're going to cause capital gain.
Yeah.
You can also only offset other capital gain items, so you're just kicking the can down the road. We don't love that. You're not going to save enough money in taxes to forego just investing correctly. But then we've got these new strategies where they're going. Have you heard of the long short strategies?
You might have to explain it to me.
So long short. So some simple, or kind of get some market return stuff here. When somebody says they're long in the market, that means they think the market's going to go up. They're owning things.
Yep.
That's normal market behavior.
Yes.
When somebody's shorting something, they're thinking it's going to go down. So in order to short something, I basically, Mario, if you had 100 shares of Apple and I thought it was going to go down, you would loan me your shares. So I don't owe you a dollar amount. I owe you 100 shares of Apple, but I think it's going to go down. So I'm going to borrow it from you, then I'm going to sell it, right? Then it's going to go down, and I'm going to buy it back, and then I'm going to hand you back your 100 shares, and I'm going to pay you interest on doing that. Now, a little bit of a problem we have with that. What happens if it goes up and I sold it?
Where's my money?
Now I have to go buy it back, and it's gone up, and maybe I have the money, maybe I don't. But nobody really knows if stocks are going to go up or down. Now, where these tax loss harvesting strategies get really out of line, they say, hey, I'm going to deliver market-like returns, but I'm going to deliver a bunch of losses. So what they actually do is go take a loan against your portfolio. So if I've got $1 million, I might be able to get a line of credit extended to me on the portfolio for $500,000. So now I'm investing $1.5 million, but I owe somebody $500,000. And now I go short things. So now I go borrow stocks on borrowed money.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been lent the money
Yeah.
that I'm now going to go borrow stocks, and I'm going to sell said stocks. And when they go down in price, I'm going to buy them back. But in this case, they're actually intentionally trying to lose money.
Yeah.
So they're borrowing money, trying to intentionally lose money, but they're hoping that the investments that they're going up in the same amount. So if I borrow 500,000, the idea is I put 250,000 and things are going to go up, 250,000 and things are going to go down, and then I'll sell the investments that went down and I'll claim the losses. Now, we violated rule number 1 of investing, which is if you can't explain it in 30 seconds or less, it's a bad idea. I did my best to explain
that was
it,
pretty short, but
I didn't come under 30 seconds. So we're out immediately. I mean that wholeheartedly. If you can't explain it in 30 seconds or less, it's a bad idea. But there's no guarantee stocks go up or the ones we picked go down. And now I've borrowed money. But this is the part that really pisses me off, is I'm paying interest rate to borrow the money. Nobody's going to loan the money for free, so I'm paying interest. I'm now paying a hedge fund manager on top of that. So I've probably added 5% a year of cost on there, right? Okay. I'm going to potentially save. Some of them are saying they can, make it against active income. My CPA opinion of that is not so much. But you're creating capital losses that can only offset other capital gains, but you're having to pay this interest, you're having to pay this fee, and then we've got to figure out if we're actually going to perform as well. And I just went and did a little comparison because long-short strategies have been around.
yeah.
They just haven't been marketed tax savings. But long-short strategies have been around. And I used to work for the institutional managers, and I'll never forget this. We had a client so upset with the performance of the portfolio, and they were in our funds, but they had added a 20% position to long short by AQR. And I had to get on the phone with them. It's funny, one of our senior guys was like, "Do you know about these things?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know all about them." So I had to get on the phone and sit there and like wiggle my way around. If your clients are losing money because you put 20% of the portfolio in long short.
Yeah.
And, it's just, I think it was about 10% down versus over the life of the fund, you had about 10% less money when I was comparing to just an S&P 500 index on one of the famous long short funds. So if your performance, they say it's going to be market-like, but if you're going to have to pay the fees, pay the interest, and then your performance is going to be lower, it's like, oh, cool, I saved a little bit of hypothetical tax money on capital gains that I hadn't even paid yet, but how much money did I lose on making a really bad investment decision?
Would you say most of the time the advisors are pushing it, or is it?
Oh, it's definitely the advisors.
Okay, yeah, because they're making money off everything you just mentioned, right?
Well, I think a lot of the times the advisors don't have the chops to actually give the right advice. I know we see this all the time. It's generally why people hire us.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're coming in on what's my value add, and my value add's investment management. Well, if my value add is only investment management, the truth is really uncomfortable. Hey, be low cost, well diversified. Right. Because if that's your only value add, what's the client going to say next? Can I just go to Vanguard?
Yeah, what am I paying for?
And it's kind of like, well, you're not wrong. Like, we tell that all the time when clients come in and they've got a Vanguard portfolio, and we're like, hey, we'd love to work with you. Here's the things we do, but as far as the investments go, I think what we do is a little bit better, but you have the tenets of a good investment experience, which is low cost and well diversified. Right? If you do those two things, I don't care what other tweak you put on it, you're going to be fine. If you stray away from low cost, well diversified, you're trying to get lucky.
And that's because people just assume that they're missing out on something out there that they need to take advantage of.
I mean, Wall Street is really good at convincing people that they need to buy something. Yeah. And that's what they do. And I kind of chuckle. Dentists call us all the time. Oh, this person, they want to get into investments, or can you help them? They want to get into investment banking. I have to kind of explain to them that the real money in this stuff is in the sales. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be an analyst. Like, this stuff isn't that hard to put together. It's taking this junk, wrapping it into something, then convincing somebody to buy it. The person making money is the person convincing somebody to buy it.
Yeah.
But all this stuff kind of flows into that same ideas of, hey, make sure that somebody's actually giving you advice and they're not costing you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. by doing it. Like we had one client's over here now, but it was really easy client pickup because I looked at the tax return and I'm like, hey, you know, what are they doing? He said, oh, well, I'm in the tax loss harvesting strategy. So there were all these problems in there, plus he was in tax loss harvesting. They turned on AI tax loss harvesting and they didn't realize that they traded, they didn't have the right holding period to get preferential capital gains treatment because they traded everything for tax loss harvesting.
Oh my
So
gosh.
ended up slapping, you know, $50,000 dividends as ordinary income instead of capital gains. And it was like, well, that was not smart.
Yeah. And we had another one there, Wes, where it's like, make sure you have someone who's actually looking at things. We had another one of working with another financial advisor out there where they just never looked at it again after their initial meeting, like the allocation, and they found out that the kids' accounts were in a bunch of in a bunch of bonds, and it was super conservative, and that their allocation had never been changed for 10 years. And they said, why didn't we talk about this? Because now I feel like my risk profile has changed, and I was actually ready to be more aggressive. So just have someone who's actually got their eye on the ball.
Yeah, that's super important though. And I never predict anything in the market, but I've been telling people forever, like, hey, you need to look at valuations. Things are going to level out eventually over a long period of time. The price you pay, the profits it has, and the balance sheet are going to matter. Over a short period of time, it's noise. Trying to predict the noise is irrelevant. But over a long period of time, that's going to happen. But I feel like there's a lot more noise than usual. Price discovery is coming back to some extent. The AI tech bubble is starting to, I wouldn't say bubble, but AI's disruption is starting to get in there into prices, which could be good or bad depending on how you're looking at it. But advisors and private equity, it's kind of like they're reaching for their last straw of things to do.
Yeah.
Of like,
What else?
all right, like we got to do something here. You know, we haven't been able to add any value. And it's like, well, you know, you could actually go give financial advice, but nah, we'd rather just make a bunch of products. You know, let's go do what we know how to do. Well, Mario, next one here. This is a marketing one. Are you promoting your longevity benefits?
Yeah, I think this one was super interesting. Talking about social media, it's really hard now to go on there and figure out what's true and what's not true. But one thing that I think dentists could take more advantage of is all the research out there about how taking care of your oral health can impact other areas of your health. And I think we're in this era where everybody is really into health, right? So it's like people are eating healthier, more cognizant of what they're putting into their bodies and things like that. So I think it's a great opportunity to connect those two, since people really care about their overall health and well-being, to say, look, if you take care of your oral issues, then you could take care of these health issues as well.
Yeah, people don't realize, the gums directly into the bloodstream there.
Yeah.
Super, super important. But yeah, I do think, especially when I go to the dentist, spend a little more time and explain why something's beneficial in plain English. Make sure they know.
Like, why is flossing important? I think once you read all this research, it's like, oh, that's good to know. It's not just so I prevent a cavity or something.
Yeah, it's going to impact my whole body. And yeah, the health craze is crazy. My gosh, the amount of random stuff.
Be like, if you floss, you're going to get a six-pack.
Yes, I think that's the key. Or you got a six-pack. Do you really want to smile and not have a good smile? You work out all that much, and then you don't have a great smile. But no, I think it is a big marketing opportunity, especially for internal patient referrals. A lot of people don't look at it that way, but a really happy patient that understands why their oral health is so important. When somebody has a mediocre experience at the dentist, they're going to go, hey, you got to go see this person.
Yeah. And I think when you're trying to differentiate yourself from some of the private equity or corporate dentistry where they're just promoting something, I think patients also, now we're in an era of like, they're more informed than ever. It's like people are showing up to the doctor's office with whatever ChatGPT told them to ask for. So you're going to have skeptical people show up and say, okay, well, they're just recommending something to recommend something. So I think, one, it's good. We've always said, if you just provide honest, good advice to the patient, the money will come. So start there. But if you're providing this honest advice of like, this is how, doing this is going to affect your whole body or your overall health, that's also going to be a great sales tactic. Not that that's what we're starting with, but that's going to be the result, I think, of you're probably going to sell more treatment by just being honest about the positive or negative effects of not doing something or doing
Right.
something.
I mean, the trust is what you need to build. And then let's see, Mario, where are we flipping to? Ooh, 5 rules for cost-effective protection against disability. And disability is very real in dentistry. You know why it's so expensive?
Dentists get disabled a lot.
Most disabled group. That's according to my insurance guy.
Yeah. No, and you see it, especially on the back end of someone's career where they're like, oh, my neck's starting to hurt, my back's starting to hurt, and some specialties more than others, but it's definitely something you need.
Yeah, it's also, probably say the most disabled group, maybe not the most hurt, but if you think of like a construction worker, it's like, oh, well, they probably go do something else. If they tweak their neck, they might be able to do something else within it versus where, if you can't move your neck, your wrist, whatever it is in dentistry, you may be able to go ride your bike 50 miles, but you can't practice dentistry. Eyesight's the same way.
Yeah. And the risk here, too, is that obviously there's a lot more dual income households, but we see very frequently that, hey, a couple decided that only one of them is going to run this practice and the other one's going to either stay at home or help in the practice. It's, hey, if you lose that revenue stream, you're in trouble because, as we've seen, dentists can spend some money.
Especially if they're spending too much.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
boy.
Going to be a rude awakening.
That's the worst, and that kind of causes the disability to begin with is, hey, we're having to produce $2 million just in the doctor, and the doctor's getting worn out, and it's to keep up with the spending. And, oh, gosh, we're going to be in trouble.
And one of the things I see, too, is they just got whatever coverage some insurance agent got for them as soon as they graduated, took them out to a nice steak dinner. I remember speaking to this group once, and right after me, I just spent the whole hour talking to them about not getting whole life and all this stuff. And who was speaking after me? Insurance agent about all that stuff. So they're going to the dental schools. But the one thing I see is people don't have enough coverage from the get-go is, hey, a couple spending like $20,000 a month on living expenses, but they have a policy that only has $10,000 a month of benefit. That's not really going to cover the bills.
No, definitely. So first thing, though, get proper coverage. It needs to be true own occupation. You don't want to pay too much, but true own occupation. And usually the most they'll give you is 60% of your income. And a lot of the times it's a maximum of $20,000 per month total before you get into special underwriting.
Yeah.
So you want to get, 15, 20 a month depending on your income. It's 60% because you're going to pay this personally, and the benefit payment would come tax-free.
Yeah.
So take into account the payroll taxes, income taxes, all that, they say you need roughly 60%. So you want to get that coverage. But then as your assets go up, your coverage needs go down. If I only need to supplement $5,000 a month, well, I only need $5,000 a month of coverage. So if I've got, we see this a lot. I've got $7 million and, I'm scared to drop my disability. What if something happens? I'm like, well, we just had a conversation about you having more money than you need to retire.
Yeah,
so
you
just retire.
Just fine. I think it's an emotional thing. People hold on to the coverage for like 20, 30 years, and they're like, oh, we don't want to let go of it.
Yeah, I had a funny one. I was talking to Chase, and I got preferential treatment on life insurance, but disability, they weren't willing to put me on disability. And he's like, how big of a deal is it? And I was like,
As long as you can talk.
I was like, as long as I can talk, and I was like, truthfully, if I'm in the mental state where I can't really do my job, my wife's going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, you want to decrease it as you go on. And then also elimination periods too. That's a good way to cut it. So if you've got enough money or access to money, get that elimination period as far out as you can. But really, once you get financially independent, we just want to cut these
you don't need that
premiums
anymore.
off. And then the last one here, I see this a lot. Somebody's got it and they kind of need it, like they're not there, but it's also like, hey, you're 62. It's only paying till 65.
Yeah.
Do we have anything going on? If like, no, we got nothing going on. I'm like, well, you need to make the decision for yourself, but like paying $6,000 a year is not going to pay out that much.
Yeah. Just take those premiums and invest them somewhere.
Yeah. We're going to roll the dice a little bit. Cool. 2 more quick ones, Mario. So we've got some new automatic IRS payment penalty relief. For the listeners out there, real quick, actually, if you're not a subscriber, we're going over monthly newsletter. This is going to be behind the paywall in the next month or two completely once we get our whole transition over. go to newsletter.mcgillonline.com. Make sure you subscribe. Get all the articles. We'll also have some webinars coming out. We're building out that feature. So make sure you subscribe. And for everyone listening, if you're enjoying this and this is useful to you, you need to be one of the people that attends one of our seminars. The seminar feedback is always great. It's very educational. We're there for you. You'll hear from people who really know what they're doing. We've been doing this for over 40 years now as of last month.
Yep.
So a lot of experience here, but I promise educational. For the states that give CE for practice management courses, we do give the CE out. I know a couple don't. They're always in really cool locations. So Mario, I'll be at a wedding. So the next one that's still open will be Charleston, South Carolina.
Yep. So I think we got Charleston.
Your spouse might not enjoy that you bring them to learn about the finances, but your spouse will love Charleston. So make sure you bring your spouse, get a nice vacation, make it tax deductible through your business. We'll also be St. Thomas. We have been getting a lot of registrations. We're not going to shut it down just yet, but St. Thomas is one that always sells out. So if you want the discounted room rate, especially at that Ritz, there's no way they're giving us more rooms at that room rate. So if you're thinking of going, make sure you book that and go. We've also got Vail open. And then I think after that, we're about to have Boston for doctors getting closer to retirement. Mario, do things get simpler or more complex when you approach retirement?
They get more. People think it's as easy as just sailing off into the sunset, but there's even more tax decisions, financial decisions that come as you transition and after you transition.
I laugh at that one. There's always the doctor who goes, oh, well, I'm about to retire, so I'm simple. Can I get a discount on your planning services? I'm like, boy, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know the work behind the scenes.
You are actually more complex. You just don't know everything you're about to deal with.
But there's a lot more, I think, pressure at the end of like, hey, I'm trying to preserve this pile of money I've spent my career saving. So it's about,
well, it's kind of too, when you're at the highest income tax brackets, you just want deductions.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you retire, it's like, oh gosh, what do I do? How do I get the money out? There's a lot of decisions and a lot of complex calculations that go into it. But back to our regularly scheduled programming here, new IRS penalty relief. So I'm going to start quick overview. If you pay an IRS penalty, there's a first time abatement rule on it. So it depends on what the penalty is on whether or not I'll take it. We always tell people, if you got a $200 penalty, like what happens if you forget to pay and you end up with a $4,000 penalty next year and you used your first time abatement? And you can use the first time abatement, I think, once every 3 years. So it's a first time abatement, but once every 3 years. And we've had pretty decent success with the IRS. Usually the CPA filing the returns is going to do it. I have stepped in for a couple of clients where the CPA just wasn't doing their job. So just sign this power of attorney for me. I've got an IRS number and let me just deal with it. And they're usually pretty good about abating first time penalty and interest. Depending on what it's for though, and what you did. But we've had a lot of success getting those written off. But they're going to automate this process now. So if you're in good order and you're not constantly paying penalties, there's going to be a way to just go ahead and automatically get that abated, which should be helpful for people. Now, ideally, you're not paying any penalties. Everything gets filed on time. But just to let you know, if you do have a penalty for underpayment or something like that and you are in good standing, you can go get a first-time abatement.
Okay, that's good to know.
But usually you're going to have to figure out what office. You're going to have to send a letter. Like that's where when the CPAs aren't doing their job, I'm like, it's 6-7 hours to just figure out where this thing needs to go to get it to the right IRS office. And I think that's why the IRS came in and said, hey, we kind of grant these as a standard process. Let's make a standard process where people can just go in online and do it and stop making them mad and stop clogging up IRS employees' times with these first-time abatement.
Wow, we love the IRS.
I know, they're starting to get efficient. Not quite. Now, Mario, 3 steps to avoid a post-divorce disaster. We've never seen any divorces.
Yeah.
Get that phone call about 10 times a year.
Yeah, this one, obviously it's hard to go through it, but after the fact, you just want to make sure you clean everything up so it's just said and done and behind you as much as possible.
It's more often than you think that something isn't cleaned up, and when do we find out?
Oh, yeah. There was a funny one in here that I'll let you talk about, but I had another one that I read about a couple of years ago. This guy passed away, and when they were distributing his assets, one of his, I think, brokerage accounts had the beneficiary listed as an ex-girlfriend from 35 years ago.
She was happy camper.
So I think she got like $1 million because he never changed the beneficiary. Well, first mistake is making the beneficiary someone you're not married to, but he just never changed it. You know, maybe that was his way to tell her that he was committed, and then he just forgot to change it.
It was an
after that.
apology. I strung you along for 10 years, so I
He's
left
like,
you an account.
You won't marry me, but make me the beneficiary on this account.
Yes, but this is the stuff that happens where we intended to do something, but even though we intended to do it, it never got done.
Yeah.
So if you go through divorce, post-divorce, first, change the estate planning documents immediately.
Yeah.
Got to make sure they're in place. Something happens, you don't want that. And this kind of goes into how we write estate planning documents in general. I always tell people, like, oh, well, it's going to be in a trust, or why this trust, and why not just give it directly to my spouse? I'm like, well, I got into this one with my wife. I had to tell her we're getting our documents done right now, how they're going to work. And she's like, well, why is that? And I'm like, well, I got two things. One, if I die, your brother ain't coming in here to hawk this business to private equity. It's getting done the way we agreed it's getting done. Second thing is, if you go off and get remarried, my money ain't going to some other dude's kids. Like, you can get out of here with that one. Ain't gonna happen. And that's the reality of what can happen, though. You've still got these documents set up, and if they're set up to go to the ex-spouse, like now something happens, it goes to the ex-spouse, and they get remarried, and now everybody's living off your money.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we obviously don't want that one. And generally, people aren't on the greatest terms when they get divorced. I don't know why, but not on the greatest terms. That's usually like the last person. Like, who do you want your money to go to? I'm like, I don't know yet, but I know who I don't want it to go to.
Not them.
The person that just left me. So estate planning documents first, but this is the one that really gets people, is the beneficiary change on the accounts. Mm-hmm. And they'll like send a note and they don't do it. Or in this case, somebody had told them to do it but hadn't followed the actual steps. So make sure you actually follow through, you change all the beneficiaries, and then you confirm those beneficiary changes. Like, people always ask me, like, oh, who's your beneficiary? Like, well, I think it's these people. I'm like, you think, or do you know? Let's confirm this. Yeah. And it might seem a little overkill, but I'm like, hey, I was doing it for one of our clients the other day who got divorced 15 years ago. And I was like, hey, do you know? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, I'm going to send an email. I'm going to find out. We're going to confirm who these beneficiaries are on this account, because we don't want anything bad to happen.
Yeah, because it'll bother you nonstop if you don't have any. But once you've set them, if they're not set to the right person, it's probably not going to bother you about changing them.
As we write this, I need to check mine, because my little sister was definitely my beneficiary for a while. I hope it's my wife now.
Well, she's going to be happy.
She'd be one happy camper getting my retirement plan money, and she'd definitely blow it all at once, no doubt. All right, well, last one, Mario. How to make sure that, hey, if this situation in the Middle East gets solved and gas prices go down, that you get credit for your plane tickets.
Did you try these websites, Wes?
So it was actually an attendee at the seminar out in Napa that told me about it, and he actually got in a $50 refund for the flight on the way there. Wow. So what happens, though, is airline tickets change. I looked it up. There's no law. They don't have to. But as airline ticket prices change, a lot of the major airlines will actually issue you a refund if you reach out to them. It's not automatic, but if you reach out to them, what they're trying to do is, if you see the ticket price go down, you're going to cancel the flight and then go rebook it. Like, hey, we'll credit you the difference. Please don't mess with our booking here. But these two, and what are the names there? It's Genova.
Yeah, I haven't used them.
And then
Payback?
Let's see. Payback.
Yeah.
But Payback. It's Payback. P-A-I as in P-A-I back.
Yeah.
Right? And then Genova.
Yep.
How do you spell Genova?
J-U-N-O-V-A.
Okay, perfect. These two apps, they kind of compete with each other, and I think it was the Points guy maybe. Some website I read, they were actually using both at one time. Mm-hmm. What it does is you can connect your inbox, and it'll pick up your flights, and it'll actually track the flights, and then as they go down, they'll contact the airlines, and they take a 20% cut of any credit they give you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really want this AI software reading all my emails, so I would go in there and actually sign up for them, create a forwarding rule. So anytime you get a confirmation email from the airline, it forwards over to this in your account, and then it sets up, and then you just get automatically credited back. And you have to put your credit card in, take 20% back, but the doctor that was doing it was saying it was working like a charm. And this way, when you buy your flights to Charleston or St. Thomas, if the flight prices go down, you're going to get the credit for your flights.
Yeah, because I think that's where a lot of people stop short of doing all these, travel things. It's the work that it takes. I read the book by the Points Guy, and it actually made me realize I don't want to go through all that stuff. But if it does it for you, I'll take the 20% cut.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I was at dinner with my dentist and another client. They're sharing office space together, and I got a good laugh. Like, no, Wes, you gotta do it this way. And I'm like, man, I ain't. I ain't
My time
doing
is
it.
worth something.
Like, I love the scam you got going here. You're playing them all, but man, I get my American Express points and I use them this way, and it's not worth the effort to me. And this one though, I'm like, okay, I can spend 5 minutes going into the app, and I can set the automatic forward up, and cool, charge my credit card if you save me money. But yeah, that's a great one. Otherwise, Mario, what else we got coming up here?
Talked about the seminars.
So there'll be a tax planning webinar. So make sure if you're not signed up for the newsletter, you get signed up. In a couple months, we'll have our top 50 year-end tax planning strategies going out. So want to make sure you get that issue. For those of you listening on the free version, we actually mail the newsletter to you, magazine format. If you're watching it, sitting next to us, but make sure you grab that. Also, we are getting into our busy season. So for those of you who don't know, we do offer flat fee consulting service to make sure you're getting the most amount of profits possible, you're paying the least amount of taxes possible, and you're getting on your way to financial independence. We promise you we will make you the fee back, or we'll send it back to you. We do get busy in the fall. I'm already starting to book out. Make sure that if you feel like it's time to get in order, that you go ahead and do it. And most people, hey, do I need this service? You go, well, if you're confused on who's supposed to be helping you with what, because you got a bunch of people all in one corner helping you with one thing and nobody puts it together, you're not alone. That's why most people hire us. They come, finally, somebody pieced the whole thing together, and I understand how this all intertwines in my life. Now I understand what I'm doing over here, how it's impacting my taxes over here, and I know what to do. I feel confident, and that's the biggest thing we can give somebody is, hey, we're going to try to cut the tax bill as much as possible, but also give you the confidence to know every decision you're making is the one that's getting you financially independent. Mm-hmm. With that, Mario, we'll be back with you next month, but thanks for joining.
All right.